What's happening? Landlord from Alabama here, back with another video. And today, man, we finna talk about Kelvin Joseph. You know the vibes, man. Boss man fat, coming straight from the Kentucky Wildcats. Let's go. Okay, maybe you was an astronaut on the International Space Station or something. You know, you might have been up there for the whole last year and you just came back to Earth. So let me bring you back up to speed with Mr. Kelvin Joseph. He's 22 years old, coming out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, standing at 6'1", 192 pounds, and ran a 4.3 and a 40. He went to Scotlandville High School, and as a senior, he had 113 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and 3 interceptions, and was named a 5A All-State and played in the All-American Bowl. Through his career in high school, he had 13 touchdowns from punt returns, kick returns, interception returns, you name it, he did it all, and he was very productive. That's crazy when you think about it, man, for him to be a defensive player, making 13 touchdowns, doing this and that, making the most out of his opportunities. That's really mind-blowing to have 13 TDs. After he cut up like that, the 4-star cornerback was highly sought after. He was the big man on campus. He was in high demand. His name was ringing bells. He had a lot of buzz around the nation. He then committed to his hometown team, LSU Tigers, but ended up getting suspended for violation of team rules. We don't know the details. I hope it went too nefarious, as I say, but word on the street was the coach, Ed Organ, he had a problem with some kind of party that Mr. Joseph attended, and that ultimately led to him transferring, leaving out of LSU and going to Kentucky. He had to sit out his true sophomore year, and then when he finally got playtime, he had 25 tackles and 4 interceptions, and that led the SEC with the most INTs. And you know what happened after that? The very next year, he got drafted 44th overall in the second round to almighty Dallas Cowboys. Coming into Dallas, we had some real high hopes about Mr. Kelvin Joseph, especially after the horrid year that Anthony Brown had. He had a very terrible year, but to be fair, the whole defense had a horrible, historically bad year. So we was on the verge of going down to Dallas, marching with picket signs and tiki torches to demand Anthony Brown to get booted off of this team. But in the preseason finale against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kelvin Joseph suffered a groin injury that set him back, and he began the season on IR, unfortunately. And early in the year, Anthony Brown showed a lot of signs of life. He was being a very solid player. He was making plays left and right. He was doing everything we needed him to do, which made it very hard for Kelvin Joseph to overtake him when he did come back. With him being a pretty inexperienced rookie with missing time in college and making the NFL jump, that was a pretty tall task for him to be expected to take over these veterans who've been working hard, like Mr. Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis. That was some big shoes to fill for him to just come in day one to make a good enough impression to take over that type of role as a rookie. But that really says a lot about how people look at him and how they was projecting him off of his talent, because we know they wasn't banking on his experience or lack thereof. It was mostly projections off of his talent. We know that he's a very talented athlete. He has more talent than most of these DBs on the team outside of Trayvon Diggs, in my opinion. I believe he's tremendously talented, and he probably would have been a first rounder if he wouldn't have had some of these off the field issues. But once he did get his little small sample size of PT, I remember against the Eagles, he could have had his first interception, but he ended up letting the ball get past him, and unfortunately, Devontae Smith ended up catching the ball off the deflection, even though we was stomping them. But I would have liked to see Kelvin Joseph reel that interception in. He let it get past him, and Devontae Smith capitalized. But the small sample size that we seen from him, Kelvin Joseph looks like a very good player. We seen all the traits that we love from him show up and materialize on the NFL level. And it's just unfortunate that he only had 24% of the defensive snaps, with Anthony Brown playing over his head with Anthony Brown playing out of his mind, it kind of derailed Kelvin Joseph to show who he was and show what he could actually do. But he did play 49% of the special team snaps, and he was targeted 17 times, and he gave up 8 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. Now, that's not ideal for a player to give up that much in such limited time on the field, but if you look at his tape, he was a good player. He was instinctive. He had a lot of traits that you love to see. Some of his biggest weaknesses comes from the shoulders up. It's just his inexperience and him probably trying to find a way to understand and get comfortable in his defense. He has all the talent in the world and mental ability. He has it all. All the mechanics that you need from a cornerback look second nature to Mr. Joseph. Most of his shortcomings do not come on the physical part of the field or his athletics. It's all about above the shoulders and some of the off-field issues that cause a little concern to a lot of people. He did have some kind of run-in with the law as of late that I really don't want to discuss, but he did find himself in a real compromising situation that could have jeopardized his whole future as a Dallas Cowboy. Some of the things that people be concerned about, he is a rapper, and I don't think it's fair. I believe a person can be interested in more than one thing at the same time and be productive, but us as Manic fans, we want you to be 100% football day in, day out, which is not realistic, but at least sell us that type of dream. Let us think and feel that that's how you are off the field. But him being in some questionable circles kind of reared his ugly head and ended up having him with a few run-ins with the law and getting in a little trouble. But hopefully all of this is in the past now. He got the proper wake-up call that he probably needed. He can understand how much he had to lose. He can understand and appreciate the position he is in, which is one that most people would kill to be in. He has a huge, tremendous opportunity that he really needs to focus on and capitalize. But I just can't wait to see him and Trayvon Diggs team up as a duo on this defense. That's exactly what we desired early last year. We thought he was gonna come out the gate and take over at that cornerback 2 position. I think he has the potential to be an outstanding corner. He actually has star potential in my opinion. If we going off just traits and what I see out film, man, Kelvin Joseph is a monster. I remember watching some of those Vach film sessions. You know, I'm a fan just like you. I was watching Vach just last year. I watched Vach as much as I can, and a lot of these great YouTubers, man, I'm still a fan. I don't be able to be there as much as I used to, but I still be in the field. I still be in them YouTube streets. But when we was watching that film, you know, Boss Man was one of Vach's pet cats, and I was convinced. I watched all those film sessions and bought in, and I was sold. I was in love with his skill set and his play on the field as well. And I really was looking forward to him blowing up, being spectacular coming into Dallas. But he will have to battle and fight to the death with Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, and his fellow draft classmate, Nation Wright. We don't know what he could be. He could shock a lot of people and come along and be that Richard Sherman type guy he promised to be early in his career. But hopefully Kelvin Joseph can shock the world and come along as we intended him to and live up to his second-round draft status and the potential that we know he has and we seen on film. But that's all I got for you today, man. Just holler at your boy, Landlord from Alabama, with the same handle on all social media. And like I say, 1K, 1 love, Cowboys Nation. Let's go.